rather than just one big shark.
Yeah.
And every now and then you will lose one player to a competitor, but then within a few months you might see him come back. So it's always pushing us to be constantly on top with product and yeah, everything that I mentioned before.
Hmm.
So you don't really get comfy, you don't really get lazy or anything like that. We are always striving to be the best casino ever, even though I wouldn't call it that yet. But on top of that, we are moving towards more in a approachable way towards the fiat market, the more,
Hmm.
let's say, mainstream market. And with the product we have, I can see that we are light years ahead of a lot of big players out there. And most probably it will be a very, very good kind of sandbox being in Curacao.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Can you give a quick introduction, tell us about your role at Casino 500, and give a quick overview of what you're currently doing?
All right. My name is Christoffer Andersson. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for 500. I'm 36 years old, originally from Sweden, but I've been living here in Malta for 11 years. During my time in Malta, I've been solely, obviously, working with iGaming business. Not so much else to do over here for
Obviously,
both
yeah.
providers and operators. So as for 500, we are most known for being a crypto casino. And
Yes.
I would say that we are a crypto first casino, but I would hesitate to call it a crypto casino since we do offer different ways of depositing more than just crypto. We are operating under the Curacao license and we are offering casino, sportsbook, and different other games such as niche games and so on.
Yeah, with the like we mentioned before, right? With the GDP of Malta being coming mostly from gaming, what else is there to do
Yeah.
besides?
No, I mean,
And
it's not much.
exactly, maybe enjoying the beach and the weather. But what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? Like, can you share some insights into your key responsibilities and how you handle them?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm the chief operating officer, but since we don't have a commercial officer, I tend to cover most of the commercials, especially with our providers.
Hmm.
And I mean, it can be negotiating with new providers, renegotiating contracts, if we're going to bring in a payment provider or whatever. But beside that, I'm heavily involved with daily basis or the daily tasks in the casino itself, such as
Hmm.
CRM, on-site promotions, releases, and obviously all the different kind of like relationship between us and the providers. When I came into this company, I did have a lot of background in CRM, so that's been a main focus for me, bringing in a new CRM system, trying
Hmm.
to execute a new different kind of strategies and automate a lot of things, whether if it's just reworking our bonus engine or maybe working on a different way of pushing an on-site promotion.
And what's currently one of the like what's currently top of mind? What are you currently working on, or what's the challenge that you're currently encountering to try and?
So, I mean, we have been obviously putting ourselves in that situation. We did go through a lot of changes with the bonus engine. With those changes, we had to rework everything CRM wise. So,
Hmm.
we paused everything that's been automated. We had to rework everything and then relaunch it. So, that is more or less the kind of like the main project now for 2024, trying to roll out new different kind of ways of approaching new customers, current customers, and also inactive insurance customers. So that has been like the main focus. On top of that, obviously there are providers coming and going all the time. Some providers that were top of the world just like 5 years ago. I mean, you barely see them anymore. And then you can see a few other ones just popping up, and suddenly you can see 1 million GTR within just a few days from them. So you have to be in top of your game in order to reach out to certain providers that you might not have a direct integration with, starting to talk with them before they are getting too much air under their wings and want more percentage wise when it comes to the
Yeah.
commercials.
In 2025, you meant, I'm
Yeah,
guessing, or that was the thing you were working on, and
yeah,
as always, the Switch, right?
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and you mentioned already in the crypto space, but you don't like to call yourself because there are other aspects. But what are some unique challenges that you face in the managing the operations in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when it comes to, let's just call it crypto casino just to make it easy. When it comes to the crypto casino audience, they are much more tech savvy, much more educated in the field of crypto and so on. And with that
Yeah.
comes that they constantly compare us with our competitors, checking RTP, checking what kind of promotions we have, what kind of UI, UX, what kind of games we have, and so much and so on. And that is a much, much harder, let's say, a competition comparing to
Hmm.
being the mainstream kind of casino where you maybe get, let's say, 60, 70, or let's say less techy 40, 50-year olds that they just sign up to the casino and they will stay there regardless if there are lots of bumps on the road. They won't look in different directions and so on. And
Hmm.
especially with when you look deeper into, for example, UK and other more heavily regulated areas where you have to provide a lot of documentation. I mean, even you haven't started betting. So it
Hmm.
becomes more of a hurdle to go from one casino to the next casino. But when it comes to Curacao and combined with crypto, you can more or less change casino like you're changing your underwear.
So why go for the more crowded market overall? Like why choose the crypto side of it?
I mean, overall, it's more of a fast-paced market and where you can get a lot. I mean, it's if we were a poor, bad performing casino, we would be struggling. But since we have a great product and so on, we can see that, I mean, since I started, we've been actually taking some shares from our competitors and so on. So it's more of a pond with a lot of piranhas, if I put it like that, rather than just one big shark.
Yeah.
And every now and then you will lose one player to a competitor, but then within a few months, you might see him come back. So it's always pushing us to be constantly on top with product and yeah, everything that I mentioned before.
Hmm.
So you don't really get comfy, you don't really get lazy or anything like that. We are always striving to be the best casino ever, even though I wouldn't call it that yet. But on top of that, we are moving towards more in a approachable way towards the fiat market, the more,
Hmm.
let's say, mainstream market. And with the product we have, I can see that we are light years ahead of a lot of big players out there. And most probably it will be a very, very good kind of sandbox being in Curacao and then maybe moving into certain markets and so on.
So that's a strategic decision to start transitioning to fiat so that you target a different audience.
I mean, you will most probably try to dig as much gold as you can, but once the gold is done or it's not
It's
over there
over.
in at that mountain, you have to move to the next mountain.
Yeah.
And I mean, we are all about growth, where we can see that we will get great ROI that won't suffocate another department or suffocate any other market. We will most probably go for it.
So what do you think has led to that success? Because you mentioned it, once you have struck the goal, like it ends at a certain moment, but also you're winning players from competitors. So where do you think that success comes from?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been working in mainly in mainstream casino. They have a certain like set of tools that you are using, some kind of way of doing things. Everything is more or less narrowed down to one way street all the time. You're going to use CRM, you're going to use this, you're going to use that, and so on. But when it comes to crypto, it's more of putting your finger up in the air and see what the feeling is. They are super tech heavy. They are very, very straightforward and so on, but they don't really have the mainstream side of things. So, for example, coming from a big company in crypto before I'm joining 500, I could see the same tendencies. They didn't really work hard with, for example, CRM. That even like a small startup in, for example, under MJ, SJ, and so on, they are doing first. But over here, they barely touch CRM. So I believe that was one big
Hmm.
step in the right direction. Also, when it comes to this side of the business, they tend to be less out there in the big crowd, meeting up people in at conventions and so on. And also, they didn't have any direct relationships with slot providers, payment providers, or sportsbook providers. Everything were going through one aggregator. And when you're using an aggregator, they need to have their share, obviously.
Yeah.
So by cutting the middleman, we got a lot of a lot of decreases in the fees. We did get a much better relationship. We could do things that we couldn't do before. So I believe those are the main things, and it also shows in the growth of players, not only on the profit side of things.
In the growth of the amount of players that joined the platform over the
Yeah.
years, you mean? On the retaining side of keeping players, what strategies have been most effective for 500 in keeping loyal and engaged players?
I believe that the best way we are doing things right now compared to our competitors is that we are working very, very heavily with CRM. Take one big competitor, I would say the biggest whale among everyone, Stake. They are barely using CRM. Meanwhile,
Mhm.
we're sending out retention campaigns on a weekly basis, most probably one or two CRM campaigns, everything in order to entertain the player, giving them something back, and also being relevant all the time, rather than sending out newsletters. They obviously want something in order to open up the email, which gives us much higher open rates, much higher delivery rates, much higher percentage of retention, rather than expecting someone coming back and depositing without any kind of reason if they
Mhm.
kind of got a little bit put off by the casino by maybe losing some money, or they maybe tried another casino and so on.
So CRM is the golden nugget.
I would
Having the
say,
CRM.
especially in the crypto space, because CRM is, I wouldn't say frowned upon,
Uh-huh.
but it's in some cases it's even forgotten. I don't know why. It's mainly because that they come from a completely different kind of side of the business where they haven't even thought about it.
Uh-huh. So that's the golden nugget, sort of. No, that's one of the silver BBs that led to
Yeah,
the
one
success.
of them, obviously.
Let's keep it at that. We already touched it, so maybe it's already answered. But I'm still going to ask it, and you tell me. But you're trying to make the transition to a more traditional casino. What will be different once you open that, and how are you approaching opening that, or starting with that?
Obviously, going from Curacao into, let's say, a more regulated market that comes with everything that's boring but needs to be done, such as a lot of more compliance, a
Yeah.
lot of more checks, everything from KYC to everyone is doing anti-money laundering and so on, but this is on a completely different level, obviously,
Uh-huh.
where you go down and have to look at everything from source of wealth once they reach a certain threshold, down to knowing the size of underwear a player has, more or less. So it will obviously be some extra hurdles, a little bit harder to bring over people, like in the crypto space where people are going back and forth. But once we retain some players, it will be easier, or acquire some players and they keep depositing, it will be easier to retain them rather than in the crypto space. So it has its ups and downs, but it will most probably include that we have to hire a lot of more people in order to make sure that we can fulfill all the requirements of each and every local licensee or
Yeah.
license holder.
Makes sense. Where do you see the crypto space going? But like, because it has been sort of a trend for years now, and also Bitcoin is at almost, I think it's almost at an all-time high, or it's at an all-time high right now. So where do you see it going in the future?
Yeah, I believe crypto peaked at over $100K a few weeks ago. Now it's closer to 90K. So it's still, on a very, very high level that we haven't seen before. I would say that there has been some bumps on the road. Just looking at in the US, where they wanted to have a certain department having a look at all the crypto and so on, and it scared a lot of people off.
Yeah.
Now it seems to have taken a different turn with the change of president.
Yeah.
So, from a crypto perspective, it does look still bright. But then you can also see that, for example, what Curacao was, let's say, 5, 10 years ago, it's completely different what we are seeing Curacao right now. They want to tighten a lot of things. They don't want to be seen or frowned upon. They want to be seen as a serious licensor with some extra checks and so on. And it might scare some players away. It doesn't really scare the casino themselves if they are serious and want to apply or want to follow all the rules. But obviously, we have some players that want the fast-paced environment. They don't want to submit a lot of papers just in order to
Yeah.
start playing and so on. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But overall, I'm actually very, very positive for the future.
All right. Well, we'll see where it goes. And what other trends do you see shaping the future for the iGaming?
So, I mean, all in all, if you turn back the clock maybe 10 years ago, everyone was sitting and playing. They were doing 100 spins, putting it on auto spins, or they were just trying to like chase the bonuses and so on. But right now, what you can see that, especially on the younger audience, I wouldn't say just the crypto space, that people want very, very fast wins.
Yeah.
So people are buying bonuses. They're going with like these crash games where they just put in money and they know they will get an either instant loss or an instant return. They don't really like the grinding as you saw it before. When it comes to sportsbook, I can't really see that we have seen any particular trends.
Hmm.
What I can see that esports betting has obviously increased a lot, but otherwise it has more or less been the same.
So there, you don't see any new trends shaping the future.
No, I mean mainly in the casino, in the way of betting and wanting the fast returns and fast wins and
Yeah.
so on.
TikTok is destroying our attention span.
Yeah, and obviously you have a much bigger platform for all the streamers, all the influencers and so on that tend to, I mean, in a good way present casinos and so on, but also in
Hmm.
a bad way bring in vulnerable players that might not even or shouldn't be playing because they might end up in a bad place.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's end it with that. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.